Hey, how's it going, guys? This is your boy Hazzed, and today I'm going to be doing a little tutorial guide on how to heal during Breath of Sindragosa. A lot of people seem to be having major troubles with that, and I even got some comments stating that in Arena they end up getting global or focused really hard during Breath because they know that you don't have any self-healings during that. But guys, I'm going to go ahead and teach you a trick on how to heal during Breath of Sindragosa and not lose your burst and still be able to keep up a 50-second breath, of course. Guys, the other thing I want to slight discuss on this intro is we are getting another PvP buff in 7.1. Yes, another PvP buff. I'm going to show you guys real quick. They're changing around how the honor talents work in some of the talents. But one of the things I noticed recently is they're buffing Chill Streak. Okay, so they're only buffing it by 1% damage. 7% up to 8% damage. That's still quite better than, 7%. I mean, if it bounces right now 5 times, it's going to give us an extra, 5% damage, which 5% is quite a lot of health. Now, where they are buffing it, now this is the part that I thought was kind of insane. Even though they're putting it to 8%, they're actually going to make the ability bounce up to 8 times, not 5 anymore. So those extra bounces, we got an extra, 3 bounces on, 8%. That's an extra 24%. That's quite a lot of damage going off on a lot of targets. Now, let's say you have 2 targets, right? You got those targets, okay? Those targets, all right? And basically, that bounces 8 times. So it's going to hit each of those 2 targets 4 times. So you got 8% hitting 4 times. It's going to do 32% damage to 2 targets, making Chill Streak very powerful when it comes to 2v2 situations. So that ability may need to be mitigated by other classes to survive, because that is going to be insane if they put that, of course, up to 8%, bouncing up to 8 times. Which, I mean, it's kind of going to give us the choice between if we want the OP Chill Streak or we want the OP Breath Burst every 1 minute. A lot of people are saying it sucks because we have to choose between the two. Personally, I think it's amazing because we get to choose between the two. You know what I mean? Like, they actually exist. They're buffed up. They're nice. They're better. I like it better this way. I think it'll play out better for us. But anyways, guys, let's go ahead and jump into this video and show you guys how to heal during Breath. When it comes to Death Strike healing, there's really only one safe place to throw it in when you're using your breath, of course. Now, you really only need 1 Death Strike to full heal if you proc Icebound Fortitude, of course, since that's going to be our main healing ability with this spec. Now, the time that you want to throw this ability is right after you use Hungering Rune Weapon. Why? Because that 45 runic power won't matter. Dumping off that runic power right before you use that, or right after technically you use that, won't matter at all, because you're going to generate, of course, runes and runic power over time. Now, when do you use that? I'd say when you have about 90 runic power or so. I mean, you'll see the bar up here jumping around a lot, either or below the character. And now what I'm going to do here is actually come out with my breath. I'm going to show you guys how to do this. Coming out with Remorseless Winter, throwing out my big breath. And of course, we're just waiting for some damage to be taken. I'm keeping up consistency. I'm taking a lot of damage. I'm using Horn of Winter. Keeping up my obliterates, just trying to keep this up. I'm going to throw up a powered rune weapon. Going for heal, Death Strike, and then going back to obliterates. Now, you notice how my breath is still going, and I'm slowly bringing it back up. My breath is slowly going back up and completely capping off. I did not lose any runic power by putting in that complete full heal on myself with that Death Strike. And as you can see by my runic power, I didn't have any problems at all, of course, making any gaps, anything like that when it comes to dealing my major frost burst by dumping that Death Strike in there for my for some massive healing. Doing that any other way, you probably would have lost your Breath of Sindragosa, and of course, you wouldn't have been able to hold breath for, 50 plus seconds still while throwing in a full heal Death Strike. That's how you go about doing that, guys. Now, the other way you see me get a lot of healing is, as you saw, that was a 50-second breath. The chances of somebody else dying if you get off a 50-second breath is huge, even in Arena. And after that, your Death Strikes, you really got to watch and keep close attention to your Death Strikes. Now, if you kill somebody, you're going to get a Death Strike that heals you for just an insane amount of health. It's basically another full heal. So you're throwing off that breath. You got that big breath rolling, and you're killing people. Every time you kill somebody, you're going to get that Death Strike. That Death Strike proc's going to make it so you can hit somebody and get off another giant heal. As for Frost Decay consistent healing, I hardly ever resort to using Death Strike as it currently is, unless I can get off some kiting, get a lot of runic power, they close the gap again, I Death Strike, of course I use Wraith Walk to get back again, and then kite out trying to get up runic power, and then of course Death Striking them. Now guys, that's one thing a lot of people aren't realizing at the moment is Frost Decays have a lot of kiting potential, of course, with their abilities, and a lot of ranged potential. That's one of the other things that I've been using quite a lot and utilizing a lot more when it comes to 1v1 and or BG fights, is you see this circle I'm running around this target right now? This whole time I can basically apply, you know, near full pressure. Why? Because I can hit with obliterates from range, and then I can dump my runic power with frost strikes from over, 10 yards away. I don't have to be near a target to actually put in some insane damage anymore. As you can see, this is from an artifact trait. I'll bring that up real quick. An artifact trait that comes later on, and of course it gives you an 8-yard range. It amps it up to about 13 on that frost strike, and of course we got the increased heal right here. Now I need to upgrade it down to 300%, obviously, and either get ambidextry as like another relic, or nothing but the boots is my two favorite relics because it increases your raw damage on obliterate and frost strike. So that's definitely going to be one of your best buffs for putting out major DPS PvE or PvP, I can imagine. But that's going to be the way you go about getting off that Death Strike heal when using Breath. If you really don't want to let it down, you have to throw it in when Empowered Rune Weapon is up. And I'll show you why right here. Because if you use it, like if you try to go for that heal right before using it, and you don't proc Empowered Rune Weapon right before hitting Death Strike, you're going to get it 99% of the time. It's just going to fall off. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit this target, maximize up on my runic power again, and I'll go ahead and show you guys what happens when you try to throw it beforehand. It's not very pretty. It really isn't pretty. And let's see, we'll wait for a couple of our runes to come up. All right, let's go on this. Going to throw up our Breath. I'm going to throw up Remorseless Winter. Going to throw up IBF, going for that Death Strike, going for the Empowered. And I actually managed to pull it off there because I did it so early. It actually worked. Now, guys, that's really dangerous to do. Like, it is doable. I have done it in matches, but you don't want to do that because there's a good chance that you're not going to generate runic power fast enough, and that's just going to tick just low enough to knock it off. So you don't want to use that Death Strike before the Breath because you may not realize it, but between hitting that Obliterate where you're generating runic power, hitting Icebound Fortitude, and hitting the Death Strike is, of course, going to be 3 globals, which is 3 seconds. 3 seconds, you can pump through 15 runic power. Add in another 45, you're up to 60 runic power. So if you're at 60 runic power or lower by the time you hit that Death Strike, obviously it's going to nuke your whole burst into the ground. So you don't want to do that. It's very risky to do that. Anyways, guys, I wanted to show you guys how to heal up during the Sindragosa burst because a lot of people seem to be having problems with survivability. Like they can get the breath off, but they either have to sacrifice the breath to stay alive, or they just kind of flop. I don't know. But anyways, guys, that's how you go about and do that. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. And of course, leave a like if you did, subscribe, and until next time, this was your boy Hazzed.